we're gonna go ahead as soon as he gets set down. How are y'all? How are you? Fine. All right. We're going to go ahead and open the meeting. Going to call a meeting to order, and this is a notice of special session budget workshop, August 1st, 1:30, and all the members of the court are present. I would like for everybody, if you would, to please rise, and we'll do the opening prayer. Father, please guide our thoughts, our voices this afternoon, to do what's pleasing in your sight and be fair and just with everybody. And in your Son's holy name, we wish to put this forward. Amen. Amen. I'm getting around, turned around the right direction. All right, and Commissioner Cheshire.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Kitty.
Honorable Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Be seated, please. Jill, you're up first.
I'm back first.
Yes, ma'am.
Fastest, right?
You were the first on the list.
Since it's baseball season, that makes me the fastest. So, well, good afternoon, everyone.
Good
This
afternoon.
is my first appearance ever in the history of Angelina County for the budget. And I sent 2 letters to Janice and to Judge Lindberry. One was a request for a pay increase for Tessa McNeely of $2,000, and the other one was a pay increase for Renee Ratcliffe for $1,000. Just waiting for everybody to get on the same page. The reason I submitted this request was, after looking at the budget and the salary schedules in the back of the budget, I noticed that my deputies were paid far less than all the other deputies. Tessa currently makes $28,322, and the next lowest deputy is paid $30,321, and that's in the JP office. Renee it says in the budget book she's my assistant, but she's really my chief deputy. She's not an assistant, because if she were an assistant, she is greatly underpaid. So I think a chief deputy would be more of what her title should be, and I may get with Janice and see if we can't change that on the next budget that we're going to adopt here in the next few days. And with her being a chief deputy, she makes $32,787, and the next chief deputy makes $34,200. I need some new glasses, and they're coming. I went to the optometrist, and I'm getting some new glasses, so I'll be able to see. $34,268. So that's a difference of about $1,700. And I understand that when they took these positions, they accepted the pay that they make. But I also understand that both of my ladies do far more than they were expected to do when they were first hired. When Tessa was first hired, her job duty was to answer the phone, to open the mail, to do some filing, and to receipt. And her job duty is greatly expanded since then. She has to keep me in line, and well, if anybody's met me, I'm a tough cookie sometimes to keep in line because I don't know what I'm doing right now. So she's done a good job with that. But she maintains our cash flow worksheet, which keeps the office up to date on what we would actually have in our bank account if our bank account was on on a moment-by-moment basis. So she keeps that in line, and that's very important for her to do. She also manages our utilities for the website. She's going to do our can and copy leases. She's going to manage that for us. She researches online deposits, like if the bank receives a deposit from who knows where. We could receive it from the federal government, from the state, from another county. She will research that and see if she can determine where it comes from. So sometimes that's a lengthy process, and she's very good at that. Very few times has she brought anything to me saying, I don't know where this goes. Excuse me. She verifies our deposits. She assists Renee with accounts payable if we get behind. So if Janice is out of town and some of the payables are kind of backed up in her office because she's at a conference, Tessa she'll assist and help Renee get that done. She helps me make it to all my meetings, make sure I get to all of Maddie's functions. She's more than just someone that answers the phone in our office. She keeps us together. She helps us with payroll disbursement. She'll help me group payroll checks. Many times I've called out to her, Tessa, do I mail this? Do I send it to the office? And she's very, very knowledgeable. She takes our bank deposits to the depository, and she keeps up with our office supplies. So she's doing a lot. I mean, she does things that I don't even know what she does. They're just magically being done, and I discover them later on. So she does a lot more than answer the phone and file and receipt.
Neither one of these positions have actually changed other than just update from the county. In other words, normal across-the-board raises from the county. Neither one of these positions have had any big pay increases.
No, sir, they have not. Not since I've been here, and not since they've been in those positions.
That's what I meant, since they've been in the
Yes, sir.
positions.
Since they've been in the, and they've been, Renee has been in her position, I want to say for 12 years, and Tessa for right at 10.
And there's been no significant increase in either one of those?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, guys?
I couldn't find my, you said see attachment, I couldn't find it, so I would like to get a copy of that attachment at your convenience. I've got your request, but.
Oh, I didn't give that to
where it says see
anyone.
attachment, I couldn't find the attachment.
As far as the schedule that I have, the one I was reading from just a moment ago, I made that for myself. I can make each one of you a copy. I made that for myself so I could present. And I understand that our office is part of the general fund, and we are all in that same pot. And I was putting together, I looked at the budget, and it said that we were going to bring in one, and I almost don't want to tell you this because I don't want to jinx it. The budget said we were going to bring in $130,000 in interest revenue this year, and we've already brought in $357,000. Of course, I also know the Fed put a kink in my armor yesterday, and they lowered 0.25%, but that's okay because we are diversifying, and we're going to try to get the best interest rate we can. So I'm going to try to keep our interest income as high as I can.
Well, since the proposed budget come out, and it is a proposed budget, we have not addressed any salary increases, but I'm sure we'll all consider it at this time.
And I also calculated the FICA, which would be the only other added expense that the county would have. And the FICA for Tessa's position is, of course, the employers pay part of the FICA. It's $150, and then Renee's was $75, so it's $225 extra dollars on top of the $3,000. That would be a recurring cost.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what else I need to say unless someone has a question for me.
Guys, any more questions?
I don't have any.
Okay. Bobby?
I'm good.
All right. Thank you much.
Thank you. Can I be excused? I've got
Certainly.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Mr. Connor?
Good afternoon.
How'd Jasper go?
Long. Y'all have a copy of my budget request. I requested a vehicle for the upcoming year. Reason for that, vehicle's 10 years old. Vehicle was not bought by the county. Vehicle was bought through the Homeland Security Fund, so the county was not out for any money on the vehicle. Vehicle's got about 115,000 miles, and I've had some minor problem with it, but no major problems. I've also spoken with Gary from the airport. He would really be real happy for SUV to use. I put about 14,000 miles a year, so that vehicle's lasted 10 years. I just think it's time. That's really all I got. Oh, I do have one more question on the proposed budget. I noticed on compensation and benefits that my compensation and benefits went down compared to last year.
We've got one computer opened up. Give us just a minute.
I tried to give you all computers at one time.
And the amount increase in the budget that you were asking for,
That was in capital outlay. I wanted it in capital outlay.
and the amount.
30,000, yes. And it would really be probably a little less, but I've checked the vehicle, $5,000 to $6,000 if we go to take it to auction, or if we give it to, say, the airport.
Right.
They have 3 vehicles now. Gary said he really didn't want 4, but he would take that vehicle and we could trade his oldest vehicle.
Yeah,
I would probably say his oldest vehicle.
Yeah.
Would that be right? Okay.
No, the salary's the same. For your department, it's $92,308 with no changes, and the proposed salary schedule is still $92,308.
It was 92,332 last year.
Well, $332 down to $308 is a decrease in.
$24.
Well.
It's still a decrease. I
It's a
just wondering why it was a
decrease in,
decrease.
Workers' comp, and it's fixing to change again, because I just got notified that.
So everybody's went down.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any questions?
Is that not reflecting the longevity pay?
Longevity pay is included in that, yes,
And it still went down?
and it's gonna go down.
It was
some.
all workman's comp?
Ricky,
Yes.
you talk about a truck, car,
Truck. Yes.
Truck.
Yeah.
Oh, and another reason it went down $12 because of the fact that our telemed went down from $9 to $8. So every department, every employee's telemed went down $12 a year. So that's another reason for the decrease in the salaries.
Okay. Anything else?
Anything else, guys? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. All right. We have, next one, Judge Bucket didn't make it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, when he called, he wanted to make sure that we addressed the salary issue across the board for all judges. And I told him that I would get it on this agenda even if he didn't get to make it or not. And so I wasn't really expecting him to be here, but we are addressing it, okay? All right. Then the next on is Judge Cheshire.
I don't see him in the room.
He's not here yet. All right, Judge Ball? I'm sorry, things are proceeding and we got a lot of things to do after that, so, yeah. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all allowing me to be here today. My voice is gonna hold out. I got out and worked in the yard last night a little bit. I'm here for a little bit different situation. That, first of all, I want to tell you that I'm not here to speak for the constable of Precinct 1. But I am here today to speak in support of the citizens and the business entities of Angelina County and this Honorable Justice Court regarding the request for a part-time deputy constable for the Constable Precinct 1's office. Now, the Justice of the Peace have some awesome and extraordinary powers over people's lives, their liberty, and their property. And this power has been greatly extended by this legislature with the increase of the court's civil jurisdiction from $10,000 to $20,000. Now, what this means is lawsuits can now be filed in the justice court and it amount up to $20,000. Now, there's no doubt there will be a dramatic increase of filings in Precinct 1. Now, this is a lot of money and liability for someone who has to prosecute or defend their case. Most of them have been, not always, but a good number of them, are pro se litigants. But I think we're going to start seeing a lot more attorneys. We did when we went from 5,000 to 10,000. We even have attorneys come out of Houston now for 10,000. So I don't know what 20,000 is going to bring. But this is going to result in an increase of the legal community utilizing this court as a plaintiff attorney or defendant attorney. And with all their legal, accompanying legal actions of motions, writs, garnishment, turnovers, receiverships, and preliminary hearings. Now, all of these civil actions are going to be utilized by attorneys in civil litigation. So there's going to be and result in a dramatic increase in civil process service by the constable's office. Now, this court, I'm speaking of Precinct 1, had 711 civil cases filed last year. The court had 476 eviction cases filed last year. And this court currently has 441 pending civil cases. And this court, this year alone, just this year, has conducted 322 hearings. That's bench time to date this year. Now, I anticipate this court will receive an increase of approximately 500 additional cases than we normally would get, because we're going to be taking what the legislature used, was to take the pressure off of the county courts at law and to make it easier for people to come in and the cases move faster. Or they did. I don't know whether it's going to happen now or not for this court. Now, the legislature also passed a new procedure that will increase activity for the court and the services of the constable's office. House Bill 1528, and it's titled Family Violence Fine Only Misdemeanors. And the Code of Criminal Procedure 27.14b now is going to require that a defendant charged with assault family violence Class C, which is a fine only charge, and now must appear before the court. They're not going to be allowed under the law to mail in a fine or come to the window and pay a fine or pay with a credit card through official payments. And so they must appear before the judge. Now, before they can enter their plea, the judge must provide the following admonishment regarding their possession and purchase of a firearm before accepting the defendant's plea. And the law goes in effect here in 30 days. And I'm going to share this law with you. Now, before accepting a plea of guilty or not, the charge with a misdemeanor, charged with involving family violence, as defined by Section 71.004 of the Family Code, the court shall admonish the defendant by using the following statement. If you're convicted of a misdemeanor offense involving violence where you are or were a spouse, intimate, partner, parent, guardian of the child, the victim, or were involved in another similar relationship with the victim, it may be unlawful for you to possess or purchase a firearm, including the handgun or long gun or ammunition pursuant to federal law under 18 USC Section 922G9 or Section 4604B of the Texas Penal Code. And if you have any questions, will the law make it illegal for you to possess or purchase a firearm, you should consult an attorney. We got to meet with them on every one of these and admonish them of this, and I think we know what's going to happen. There's no doubt in my mind that most defendants will plead not guilty and request a jury trial instead of pleading guilty. Now, when the defendants are faced with losing their right to possess or purchase a firearm regarding a fine only a citation, they're going to request a jury trial, and I anticipate most will retain an attorney who will rightfully so utilize all legal defenses available to support and protect their defendants' rights. Now, assault family violence is a family law issue that results in a lot of high emotion. And when you factor in someone losing their rights to possess a firearm or purchase a firearm, that needle of violence increases and becomes extreme. And it will be imperative that a constable be available for all trials involving family violence, whether it be a bench trial or a jury trial. Also, it should be noted that all persons ticketed or issued for assault family violence Class C fine-only charges, this is the law, shall be fingerprinted, and it will be subsequently submitted to the Department of Public Safety, who will forward them to the FBI. Now, my staff and I attended the legislative update Monday, and then I met with the DPS auditor for the Criminal Justice Information System Tuesday regarding these procedures. And there's a lot of activity going on right now trying to figure out how this is all going to transpire. Now, Precinct 1 encompasses the primary populations of this county and includes the city limits as well as part of a rural area of the county. Now, the commercial businesses, landlords, and rental property rental property, including residential and commercial properties, medical facilities, and citizens file cases in Precinct 1. Now, we have the responsibility as elected officials to ensure that our citizens have the availability and access to their elected court for legal redress in the quickest, safest, and most legal efficiency available. Now, the constable's office is an integral part of the Justice Court, and I implore you as Commissioner's Court to approve this position for a part-time deputy constable for Precinct 1 to assist this court in meeting its timely and safe responsibilities for the citizens of our community. That's what we're dealing with. So, and I have all the documentation that you need to show the statistics and everything. So if anybody has any questions.
Judge, how are y'all gonna handle the fingerprint? Because I know that's gonna be a pretty
Well,
big issue for you.
I can't tell you that right now for sure.
Okay.
There's all kinds of questions of clerks doing it, but we're not certified. We don't have the equipment. There's questions of what are you going to do on the side of the road when you write them a ticket? The questions are, you're going to bring them to jail, book everybody through the jail. So, you know, the sheriff's got to get involved in this, county attorney's got to get involved in this, all the JP's got involved. I just woke up with a DPS auditor in my office. I didn't ask for him. He just showed up and started asking questions and talking about the law. And he's got 46 counties, so I don't know. 46? 46 or 35, I can't remember. It doesn't make any difference. He's got a lot
That's
of
for the
counties.
local auditor.
So he's spread thin.
Right.
And I'm trying to get an appointment and trying to get all the judges together. We've made some inquiries for some dates to see if we can sit down and invite the sheriff and Kerry Kirby and see where we need to go with this, because there's nothing in the law that says how you're gonna do it. It just says you're gonna do it.
Just do it.
And you know what part of it's about? Part of it's about money. You know, federal funding's coming down, and all these fingerprint cards are gonna go to the FBI. So, you know, we're in gun country. When you start taking people's guns, keeping them from getting a gun, I want a constable there. I don't care whether he's part-time, full-time, or time and a half, you know. So, anybody got any other questions?
Guys,
So I'm asking you, I'm imploring you to fill this position.
That's kind of like the unfunded mandates deal, man.
it is.
You know what I mean? It's just something, here, you get this handled on your dime. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not fussing about it, I'm just saying it's
Part
kind of
of-
crazy how they do us.
Part of life.
But it all
Yeah.
has to do, excuse me, with with family violence.
Right, yes, sir.
And so, you know, you got some of these activities in the other courts, but they've never dropped it down to a traffic citation, basically what we used to call a traffic citation.
Right.
It's no longer gonna be a traffic citation. It's serious business.
And when does that go into effect?
Pardon?
When does that go into effect?
September 1st.
September 1st.
Yeah.
All the changes go into effect, basically.
But you're absolutely right about this. When you go to mess with folks' guns,
Well,
That's
it
some
gets
serious
emotional, and
Yeah.
and the prosecutor's here, and some of the officers are here.
right,
And, you know, they deal with family law issues
Yeah.
in the big courts. They've got bailiffs.
right.
They've got people that they can get to real quick. We don't have that luxury. Now, if I've got a jury trial, I request that the constable be there.
Yeah.
And if I got a troublemaker coming in for something, I request. And he complies with that. But he's spread pretty thin. So I support this, and I'm not here for the constable, I'm here for the
Right.
court and for the citizens.
Right, okay.
All
Understood.
right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thanks, Judge Ball. Judge Cheshire. Good morning, or good afternoon. I'm used to this being in the morning.
Thank you.
I'll be short and sweet. Thank you all for considering my budget request for 2020. I hope to show myself as a steward of the people's money, and not asking for any raises or salaries. I have requested an $800 increase in fuel. Since taking office, I've been asked to be a member of the advisory board for the Boys and Girls Club, a member of the Diboll Booster Club, a Diboll Business Association member, and a member of the Diboll's Lions Club. These extra meetings and events is where I'm a member of the, representative of the Angelina County, have increased my fuel budget, consumption of my personal vehicle, the wear and tear of my personal vehicle. To be an effective representative of my constituents, I feel that I should attend county court when possible. When my schedule has allowed, I've been in front of your court for your questions and concerns. I've attended other county meetings as a Precinct 4 representative as well. I've also served on the Angelina County Bail Bond Board. All of this is in addition to my normal traveling to and from the jail, anywhere in the county when I'm on call, and the daily errands that my office requires. As you've seen in my budget proposal, I did scratch the janitorial services for my offices. Between myself and my clerks, we can handle the cleaning. This money will be reallocated for a cell phone allowance. I also cut the dues and publications line. We removed the newspaper subscription for several other non-essential magazines that my office was receiving. My office only is going to continue our affiliation with the Justice of the Peace and Constable Association, who oversees some of our training opportunities. I've asked a $200 increase in training after 7 months in office. I've learned quite a bit. A lot of that bit, I've learned that I need to learn a lot more. I've requested a $50 increase in repairs and maintenance to the office. My office is the oldest justice court in the county. Both the buildings on each side of my office have been repainted and updated, and quite frankly, the sub-courthouse sticks out like a sore thumb in the middle of drywall. I hope slowly and surely over the next year or two to help doctor that. There's a new line item that I'm requesting is a $200 cell phone allowance. When I attended my first block of training last November before taking office, the JPCA preached to us, do not use our personal cell phone for county use. We all know very well the problems with open records. I'm on call 24 hours a day, except for the 3 weekends a month when the other justices cover. For me to effectively be on call, I have to have a phone. We're required to be on call, and all JPs should be compensated for that cost. Lastly, from the 2019 budget, I have cut $307 to compensate for the requests of increases that I've made. Again, thank you for your time and consideration. But before I leave you, one thing I've got to get off my chest. Not necessarily for me, but for the two hardworking clerks, Tony Lovell and Lisa DeJesus. For someone to come before you and belittle them as part-time employees is quite frankly rude and ill-informed. Those two ladies show up at 8 a.m. and leave at 5:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday. They do not leave their post for lunch. They're always pleasant with the public. They jump through hoops for me, for Constable Anthony, for the DPS, for the Sheriff's Department, and any other entity that requests their assistance from my office. Thank you for your time. You have any questions?
Judge Cheshire, who's belittled your clerks?
It was done in a previous budget workshop, sir.
Really? Okay. Any other questions?
What is the policy on cell phones? I
I-
know,
There's not one.
I know
There-
mine is paid out of my telephone,
Right.
the county telephone.
I don't think any of the other JPs have a cell phone allowance, do
I
they?
would think that,
Yeah, none of the other JPs have a cell phone allowance. But they all definitely have to have one,
They
just
have to
like
be
we
on
all have
call,
to have
yeah.
one.
yeah,
Yeah, and I do know that there was conversation at several of the conventions about using your personal cell phone because of open records
Right.
request. But, from what I understand, and, Counselor, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand, even your personal cell phone, if you're using it in a business environment, is subject to open records, correct?
Yes, sir. If you're using your personal phone for conducting official business,
Yeah.
official business is subject to
Is still subject to,
the Public
That, so-
Information Act. It doesn't open up your personal usage on the phone.
Right.
But the
So
official
that-
usage is-
that doesn't change the requirement as far as that. Does that answer your question?
well, yeah, somewhat, but my question is like my cell phone and even my foreman's is covered, the county pays it. But mine is lumped into a telephone category, which comes out of the barn and all of my telephone. So, I mean, I obviously think that's something we need to look at for all of the JPs or anybody
Yeah.
that's on call.
Yeah, if they're required to be on call for 24 hours a day, surely they
They are.
need to get them a phone.
Basically, just like the constables, that doesn't change. Okay. Any other questions? Guys? Bobby?
Abstain.
How come?
Thank you.
Thanks, Judge. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rodney.
Thank you.
Judge Grubbs. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Judge and constables and commissioners and everybody that's here present today. My name is Pat Grubbs. I'm Justice of the Peace, Precinct 3. I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak today. As you know, my budget is pretty much staying the same, except for a few items that I'm requesting. I have a new clerk that started in January, so I've asked for a little bit additional funding in my training. I think it was at $2,500, and I'm requesting $3,000. And of course, every year I ask for a little bit more money on my telephone because we have Windstream, which is now, I think, maybe went bankrupt and it's another name, so it's Windstream / something. But I had $5,000 in that budget, and I would request that maybe it would go up to $6,000. And then finally, the other thing that I have asked for is a little bit additional monies for salary and travel allowance for myself. I've worked very hard in the last 4 years to try to bring the JP's, that precinct up money-wise in the budget. We only have 2 people working in that office, and so I do a lot of stuff hands-on myself and then do my other duties as well. I have the largest precinct in the county, as most of y'all already know. Got a couple of commissioners here that know. I have the Huntington and Zavala and a lot of the surrounding areas that are all the way from Lufkin to 103 East to Concord Hill and all the Plum Ridge area. What I had asked for, my travel, and I believe all the JP's travel had been $3,200, and I was requesting an additional $8,000, which would make it $4,000. And on the salary, our bring home is, excuse me, $42,707, and I had requested that maybe that be up to $45,000, which would actually be $2,293 that I'm requesting on that. That would give the total of $3,093 that I had requested additional salary. And then again, I did not put a money amount on the cell phone, but I also had asked for that for maybe a little bit of reimbursement for cell phone and even OnStar, because my OnStar is like $300 and almost $400 a year, and that's pretty much necessity in some of the places that I have to go and over some of the roads that I have to go. I think that's just about it. I thank y'all all for having me here today to speak. And are there any questions?
Right now, the JPs are all making the same amount of money.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. And I think in the proposed budget that we've published so far, I think we went ahead and allowed the increase in travel
Yes, sir.
already.
I did see
So
that
that's
on
already
there.
been, so really
Yes,
what
sir.
you're asking for is the difference of what you're asking for and what's already been proposed, correct?
Yes, sir. And it's like $2,290.
Right, that would be the OnStar and then the increase in salary.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And you're still, you and I had talked about this earlier, and since there's just 2 people in your office and you've got to operate between 2 offices, I still feel that you need a part-time employee more than a salary increase. It's just personal opinion, strictly for safety in your
Yes, sir.
office.
Yes,
Because
sir.
you've got gals that work there and your constable isn't always there. And
Yes, sir.
I felt like the part-time employee would be a lot more important.
Yes, sir.
But I just wanted your comment
Yes, sir.
for that, for the
Well,
court.
A part-time employee would have a lot of benefits, but at this point, I have a new clerk. She's doing an excellent job. She and I seem to be managing pretty good, and another thing that would be a drawback is I honestly don't know where I would put another clerk.
Right.
Our facility is very small. If you could just walk into our closet and see our little storage facility, I mean, we're stacked up, so
When
that
you
would be
go,
an issue.
yeah, when you go to Zavala,
Yes,
and
sir.
you go by yourself,
On Tuesdays.
and you meet a constable down there or some of the local law enforcement to give you backup in the,
We have a South End deputy that Mr. Greg Sanchez has down there, and his name is Robert.
Right.
And he's in and out.
He's usually there on the days that you're there to
He
try
is
to
in
get
and
you back
out,
up.
yes, sir. He's not there with us all the time because you
Right.
know as duty is, but he is in and out, yes, sir. And we're not far from the city.
Right.
You know, when we have our city officers, I'm not sure how many are employed there now. I think 5.
Okay.
But they're always doing drive-bys as well.
And you also have the day that you're down there, you also have a clerk.
It's a tax clerk, yes, sir.
Tax clerk, yeah.
Billy Page's taxes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
All right.
Judge, how are you paying your cell phone now? You doing it out of your travel allowance?
Yes, sir.
On stars, that shows you where to go if somebody's passed and you have
Yes, sir,
to
it
find out
does.
where their house is at. You just
Turn
punch
by
it in
turn,
and-
yes, sir. You get the directions, like if the Angelina County Sheriff's Office or the DPS call me, they'll give me the address and I'll tell it to my OnStar and it sends me straight to
Straight
it.
to 'em. Good deal.
And there's a lot of places we have to go at
Yes,
3 or
ma'am.
4 o'clock in the morning. You
Right.
know, my last one was way out there in Rifle Road, which is, you know, way,
Yeah.
and I don't know that area. So it does come in handy.
Okay. Anything else?
I see your fines and fees has really jumped up, so I'm assuming you've made a lot of people mad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, probably so. Well, you know, they're working the construction area there. We've got, and so we're getting, DPS is working diligently for us. So yes, we do have a lot more citations that are coming in. And yes, I'm sure they are quite more upset with me.
Since all that work has been going on down there, have you had any increase in having to be at the Sabala location more? I know you're down there one morning and one afternoon usually.
No, sir, I just go there on Tuesdays, one
Just
day a
on
week.
Tuesday.
But
Okay.
yes, that has picked up considerably.
Okay.
Because we have the Zavala residents down there that don't want to have to drive to Huntington
Right.
for some unknown reason. I mean, most of the time, what I run into, a lot of them are wanting community service or something like that, and they're not able to commute back and forth. They just don't have the funds, I guess I should say. But yes, sir, that has picked up as well.
Okay. Anything else, guys?
I'm good.
All right.
Thank y'all very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
You want to talk about the changes?
Hey,
that we-
Judge Ball,
Oh,
Now speak.
of course, sir. But you gotta come forward to speak. You're not gonna let Chrissy come, you're gonna do it?
Nah, I'm a big boy today.
Okay.
I want to go on record that I don't want a county cell phone. So if you want to give if you're thinking about cell phones for everybody, I don't want one.
can I
Thank
ask
you.
why?
Huh?
Can I ask why?
Yeah,
Do you not use one period? You just use your regular home phone or whatever? I'm just
not,
curious.
not in this world,
Yeah,
but I don't want to keep up with another phone.
okay.
You know, this one doesn't quit ringing.
I
I
get it.
get woke up, I can't think of how many times that I don't get woke up during the week, just a hospital call.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah, and, you know, I just don't want another phone to keep up with, and it don't make any difference to me. But if you won't give my phone, or if you're thinking about that. And I have some questions about the open record stuff too.
Okay. The request is not really necessarily for another cell phone, it's for reimbursement for your personal
But
cell
I
phone.
don't want any
also.
reimbursement. 'Cause
You don't want reimbursement?
No, I don't want
wanted to
anything.
clarify that.
I don't want the county touching my old age phone.
Is that a pager?
If I could go back to a pager, I would take a pager.
Okay.
All right? So
Yes, sir.
that'll leave you some extra money.
All right. Thanks, Judge. Counselor, is there something you were wanting to say? I could tell you were anxious, you were wanting to say something, so.
I think what Judge Bowe stated on reimbursement, he's on point that if the county pays him money for part of his cell phone, and that potentially does open up his phone for the public.
Right.
information.
All right. So that's the clarification, Yeah, that's a clarification that we were needing. Thank you, sir. Everybody get that?
Yes.
Everybody understand that now?
And I'd have to get my wife out of jail. Nobody can get me, get up here, what you say. Nobody can get my.
Okay. All right. Now, if you wanna go into yours right quick, because I got one more thing that I can go over, but if you wanna do that first. We found, just for clarification, of course, by mandate, the judge, myself, had to publish a proposed budget with all the information that we had at that particular time several days ago. But since then, matter of fact, as of this morning, we found some errors. And we want to make some correction in those errors now. Yes, ma'am.
When I was going back over the proposed budget, I discovered that we had included as a transfer from the general fund of $274,741 for voting equipment. But with us adopting the proposed tax rate, we had revenue left over, so there was no need to transfer money from the general fund. We had took the difference and put it in the contingency account. So to correct that, I would be taking out the $274,000 as a transfer from the general fund and taking it out of the contingency account. So that's one error that will be corrected. Also, I've got to correct the salaries for the county court at law judges. There was a increase come down from the state, and so I'm still trying to get to the bottom of what that increase is gonna be. It would affect the district judges, the county court at law judges, county attorney, and the district attorney if they met the qualifications for the new tiers. And so I don't think there's gonna be any increases in salaries except for one of the county court at law judges, but that's something I've gotta get verified. Also, I got a notice today that workers' comp premiums have decreased, if you can believe that. So that means I've gotta go back and adjust all the salary schedules to include a decrease for our workers' compensation, so that will affect the compensation and benefits lines for each department. And then also on our Canon copier lease or maintenance agreement, we have, built into that maintenance agreement, we have black and white copies and color copies. And in prior years, all the copies were being charged to our Department 075. Well, now, our county treasurer wants to break out the color copies and charge them to the actual departments that have the color copiers, and which is the auditor's office, the sheriff's department, and the DA's office. So, and we can do that because we know how many color copies there are, and because it's just strictly for those color copiers. So I have, will be making an amendment on the 075 lease line and reducing that and increasing those three departments by the amount of money that we anticipate the color copies to be. Also, there was a mistake on the salaries for the county attorney. Sorry, Carrie. In the proposed budget, I had made the mistake and given that department everything they had requested. And so anyway, there will be some changes made to the county attorney's office. And at this point, I've not had a chance to go through all the other departments to make sure that there's no errors in the other ones. But right now, that's changes that I know that's gonna have to be addressed.
And the contingency is gonna be the big change that will.
Yes. Yeah, the contingency right now, it's proposed at, I think it was 500 and something thousand, and it will be reduced down to 309,000.
Yeah.
Due to the transfer from the general fund that's not necessary.
And of course, it's obvious, don't have to mention it, but contingency fund is just something that we have left down for unforeseen things that come up during the budget year to take care of emergencies, storms, so on and so forth. All right. Any questions about the changes? Everybody understand what we're doing?
When you figure that'll be done?
In the next couple of days.
Okay,
Well, it won't be tomorrow because I'll be out tomorrow, but
Okay.
I'll
I'm just
address it the
saying-
first of the week.
Yeah,
I mean, before we vote on all this.
Yeah, I'll get
Yeah,
it done.
okay, yeah.
yeah, and we will have,
Changes to make before we vote on it.
we'll have the changes and get, matter of fact, we should have copies of the new budget with the changes and everything. Now, I can get a copy of with the changes to y'all probably by Monday or Tuesday of next week. Yeah, Monday or Tuesday.
Does that mean we're gonna hear our budget request today?
If, that's why I'm leaving enough time. You bet. You bet. That's the reason why I booked the extra time, so we could go ahead and get to everybody's request. One more thing that I'd like to touch on before we get to y'all's, because it's gonna be lengthy, if I could. Several years back, the state, in their infinite wisdom, requested a increase in collecting fines and fees for the county, and they mandated another mandate
Yeah,
of a collection department. This last year, in the legislative session, which is effective September 1, they rescinded that. And the county is no longer required to have a, quote, separate collection department, which basically the JPs and the constables were doing their own collections anyway. But we did have a collection department, and this year, basically, that collection department was last year, or this year, it was funded at $118,000.
that's right.
About 118,000. And this year, there is 2 employees there, and we are working hard to make sure that those employees are taken care of. But I did not put that collection department back in the agenda because it's no longer mandated. And everybody that I talked to felt like it wasn't going to affect our collection rate much. But anyway, now is the time to address that if y'all have any concerns or questions.
Let me ask a question on that. Of course, we know the ladies that work there, you know what I'm saying? And,
Yeah.
so we're gonna try to move them to a different department?
That is exactly what we're gonna try to
Okay.
do. Wanna make sure they're taken care of. Now, September 1 is when the mandate is no longer required.
Right.
But I've already told the ladies in the department that we're funded through the end of the year. And so that's not gonna change. In other
Yeah.
words, their employment in that department is still carried on to the end of the year.
Yeah.
And that gives us roughly 6 months to find another place.
Okay, now, suggestion from me.
Sure.
These ladies are being paid whatever their salary is. I'm trying to find it, but anyhow, they get paid every day just like the rest of us, okay?
They're county
Okay,
employees.
if a different department could use them, why couldn't you take their salary and move it over to that department? Because most departments don't have another spot, you know what I'm saying, for someone. But if we move their money over to that, whatever department it was going to, then that department wouldn't be in a bind to come out of their salary to pay them. Is that sound
I
crazy?
understand what you're saying. You're saying refund the department,
Yes.
basically.
Yeah,
Even though it could be utilized in another area.
right.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. You know, actually, if you do away with the collection department, the best possible solution is to find another position. You know, we've got several positions that are being added in this year's budget. Unfortunately, they're attorney positions.
Right.
And investigator
Yeah.
positions, so.
I'm just saying that we already spend the money now for that department. for their collections, you know what I'm saying?
I understand.
But if we're gonna keep those guys, ladies
We
around,
want to keep them.
move their money with them. And let them go to where whoever could use them the most.
I understand what you're saying. I don't think that would be the best possible way to handle it, but I do understand what you're saying. It gives us 6 months to find them another location
Yeah,
in the county.
okay.
Y'all's barn may have room for a secretary or something, you know, so. All right, any other questions? But the decision is primarily, do we continue, because the proposed budget that went forward is to do away with the collection department. Commissioner Harrison?
And do what with that money?
And do it, right now, goes back into the general budget. That's part of that's part of what we funded at the end of the year.
Yeah.
The $118,000 is every bit of savings that we can come out of the county's budget is what we're working on. But as far as earmarking that $118,000 for something particular, no, there hasn't been anything on that. What I need from y'all right now is whether or not we can do away with the department at the end of the year.
Probably be, have to put on an agenda and voted on, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would think so.
But I needed a decision from y'all to proceed with it if we're gonna do away with it. Because we are in a budget hearing meeting right now.
I would definitely proceed with it.
I think it needs to.
And just put it on the agenda?
I don't know that we need to put it on the agenda.
Not really, because we're in a budget workshop right now, and that's what we're addressing right now, is departments.
It's just defund the department.
Yeah, defund the department. You had a question?
What do you
Janice, you had a question?
I was gonna say
I say-
that I'll go on the commissioner's court agenda and it be voted on at that time, but
I say let's get the county attorney's opinion.
Counselor?
Practically speaking, I think if you don't include the money in the budget for the department, then it ceases to exist.
It's gone.
You could, I guess, make it an agenda item on a regular meeting if you'd like, which would really pertain to the budget itself, but if you don't fund it, then it doesn't
It
exist.
goes away.
It's not necessarily important to add it as an agenda item. Either way.
I think you can achieve, if you're wanting to do away with it, if you just don't fund it, that's going to achieve the result.
Okay. But I wanted everybody's input, I wanted everybody's discussion in case there's something that's been overlooked. Okay? Any other questions?
Well, let me just say, I understand totally that we don't have to have it anymore. You know what I'm saying? We just don't, I mean, the state says you don't do this anymore, that's fine.
Right.
You know, my deal is when you have employees that's worked here for so long, that's done a great job, you know, just cause this goes away doesn't mean they have to.
No.
You know, so I just wanna make sure that we're taking care of them too.
In every effort that has been part of the discussion.
Okay.
With them and also with the auditor and everything that's come out of the judge's office, that's all been discussed.
Okay.
Exactly.
So if we move them, or if we try to move them to a different department,
No, we're just trying to not trying to move them to a different department. That was what Commissioner Harrison's suggesting. We're just trying to find them another job.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's gonna
But
affect
we've
the
got to
budget.
find the position. Exactly.
There's not that many out there.
So your barn needs a secretary, right?
I just can't, no,
That's the problem,
I'm the
nobody has
secretary.
spots.
that's
Right.
it.
All right. Anything else, guys? Okay. Yes, sir, you have to. Send Chrissy this time. We're tired of seeing you, Judge.
Well,
Yes, sir.
I just got a message, see, my phone does work, from Judge Puckett.
Is this an official call now?
Yeah, And this is, he's working a death inquest on suicide. And I don't know how the word got to him, but he says, I agree with you on the cell phone. I'm at a suicide or I'd be there. They need to know we're in agreement on the cell phone.
Yeah.
Okay,
So he doesn't want county phone or
Gotcha.
reimbursement.
all right, got you. Thank you, sir.
And we're gonna leave.
Okay. All right, guys, who wants to go first on it? We start with number one and proceed this way? That seems to be the most, unless y'all want to start down there at that end.
It don't matter. Did y'all give me a copy of mine?
I
That I
don't have
turned in?
one. I don't have one. I've not seen a copy of your,
I'm sorry.
Well, we turned them in, so.
yeah.
I have
Just
three
saying.
all copies, I'm sorry.
Now, in the budget, y'all have seen what you're allocated, right? For this
We've
year,
seen what you proposed.
Yeah.
what I proposed.
Correction, that's what I proposed.
Oh, that's what you proposed?
She had left.
Yeah, in answer, no, I have not seen y'all's proposal
She,
at all.
she got it.
Yes, but I have not seen y'all's proposal at all.
Does, would they want to speak?
Oh,
We want to address
y'all
that.
want to have a representative that comes forward and,
On this, Trey, y'all? I mean, we've talked all around you, the reason I'm saying, it's time for y'all to, if you'd like to talk.
Well, it's basically just the same thing we addressed the other day about the difference in the pay amongst the constables. We had asked each of you to consider that, being there was such a gap between the precinct 1 constable and then, of course, my position. It's a little over $11,000. And to touch on what Judge Ball just said, you know, I don't think it's just his court that's gonna have this upcoming problem.
Right.
You know, it's gonna be every court. We're all gonna be in the same position, and we're all gonna have a constable or a peace officer or something present at these hearings and these additional things that are coming. We too know that the limit's going up to 20 grand, and, you know, all these other mandates are coming into play. But, we just thought we'd give this to y'all in writing. I know we brought it up in a meeting, thought that was formal enough, but somebody questioned whether we brought it, if we provided it in writing to you. So that's what we're doing. We just ask that you bring us up to where the other one's at, be it fair across the board with it. It seems to be that way with every other constable department in the state. Many of y'all all make the same thing, many of your employees make the same thing, your foremans, so on, your other employees. We're just asking for the same consideration. I've explained my position and my territory, you know, having the biggest precinct. You know, I don't do the number of papers that number 1 and 2 do, but I make up for it on other things. You know, I take cases, I work calls, I recovered property. I mean, I go, when somebody calls, I go. I don't care when, where, or how. Whether I've got gas or not, I still go. But I just don't feel like that I should have to be working out of my pocket, you know, 3/4 into the year like I've been doing. I think that it's a very minute amount that we're asking for. And even with the salaries, I think in the overall scheme of things, $27,000 across the board brings everybody up to the same thing. And it eliminates that animosity of who's getting more and who's getting less, and who's doing what and who's not, you know, and everybody can move on. Of course, Judge Ball's projecting what's coming. I don't know what's coming. You don't either, but yes, if it's in the mandate, then it's probably gonna be a problem. And I just ask, when y'all do your final vote, that you consider what we're asking, what he's asking too. I mean, I'm not trying to shoot anybody down, but I think there were some priorities that could have been lined up and handled a little better on that deal.
Right.
So that's all I'm saying. That's all we're asking for. We just want to be, you know, fair across the board with everybody else be paid the same as everybody else, because we do the same job everybody else does. And it may not be the exact job, but it is the job we do, and we do it well. And I think the people would show up and speak if we needed the people to be here, and they would certainly tell you that.
Right.
So, again, that's our only argument or complaint, or request.
Now, in clarification, the fuel adjustment for y'all, you understand that the fuel adjustment that you were requesting has all been changed and updated in the 2020 budget?
Well, I didn't know if that is set in stone, we just.
Oh, no,
you know,
it's proposed budget,
Right,
but that
right.
is something that I've already tried to, the court has already looked at, where hopefully that is definitely a step in the right direction to try to get y'all more equal.
Yes, sir, and we appreciate anything we can get.
But that puts everybody, that puts all three of the, 2, 3, and 4 at $12,000 in the proposed budget for fuel. And 1 at $13,000 for fuel. That was where he already was. That wasn't a change. That was where he already was. But 2, 3, and 4 then would be raised up to $12,000 each.
And I would take whatever,
Yeah,
but
and it was an increase for the other three for y'all.
I would take whatever, but again, my argument is why is it still
About the salary.
13? Why is his 13 and we're 12? Why is his salary $11,000 more?
Right.
That's our complaint. That is our whole complaint. And we just feel like it's not fair, you know, it's not right across the board. Many of you, again, in these same departments, same thing. You are all on the same pay scale, same deal. I mean, the same benefits, but we're not. And we can't get a good explanation of why. We know why, and then we know how it was set up, and that wasn't right. But we're just asking for it to be brought up so it would be fair across the board. That's all we're asking.
Yeah.
And in the overall scheme of things, that's what I said, $27,000 brings everybody up, same thing, and it's over and done with, and we can move on down the road. That's all I have. Any questions?
I would like to reiterate on that. I looked at it this morning, and I do want to correct you, it's 27,690.
Sorry, I went off the hip here. I went off the hip. I didn't have the exact number.
But I do want to say that I've thought about that a little bit, you know, and I looked at the commissioners, they all four make the same. The JP's base salaries all the same. The two county court laws are the same. And I think the 27,690 would adjust that. And it's been the most controversial issue so far.
Right.
Of course, we ain't got to my budget yet, but.
I understand.
But I do think we should, my opinion, that we should.
For the
look at
record,
that.
let me just point the salary schedule out for the 4 constables. Precinct 1 is $52,285. Precinct, these are constables again. Precinct 2, $42,654. These are not with certificate pay or longevity pay.
Correct.
Precinct 3 is $41,450, and precinct 4 is $45,061. You don't have certificate pay.
We haven't turned our certificate pay in. Me and Ray have not. We have not
Okay.
included that. We were just going off the base amount
Right.
of the difference.
I forgot that you hadn't been in law enforcement as long as some of the others, so I apologize, so. Okay, I apologize for that.
And Chad, you don't have a certificate
Yes, I
either.
do. I have not presented them.
Right.
Any other questions?
That's $10,000 difference, or $11,000 difference between
Can I explain your salary?
top pay and low pay.
10,835.
And the difference is 27,000 a year?
That would bring.
Terry had the exact, it's
Yeah,
27.
27,690 would bring all of them up to the same.
Same pay,
Wasn't all that.
other than the fuel.
It was done over That's
Other
their
than the
base.
difference in the certificates, whatever, but just base pay, it would be the same.
Oh, yeah,
Sir?
that's certificate pay too, or something like that.
Well, that's just the base is what we're talking about here.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I tried to leave the certificate out since not everybody has it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Any questions?
Anything else? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, Road and Bridge 1. Commissioner Harrison, you ready to proceed?
Sure. On my proposed budget for this next year, let me just start by saying, I know everybody needs everything. You know, I mean, I know that. But, you know, I'll get into our part of it now, which is the roads. And any one of you in here that drives these roads knows that they're all to pieces. These roads are 30 years old. Some of them are, you know. And we've had, like last year in precinct 1 alone, our average is about 40 inches of rain a year. I think we had 92.3 inches last year. We lost a pile of culverts. We've lost a lot of the roads. We spent, all the budget this year has gone to just getting the folks home. And with our budget that we've had over the last few years, 5 years to be exact, since I've been here, we've averaged about $1,533 a mile for budget. And we can't keep doing that. We just, better just, you know, go grind them up and put them back to dirt, because I think back when, and I'll use Big Brother as an example, but back when he started, you could buy a tanker of oil for $3,500. They're $15,000 now. They do 7/10 of a mile, is what they cost. So, and it just don't, you know, it don't add up. I'm sorry, it just don't. When I first started, we had equipment that was already old. We still got most of it out there. We tried the leasing program. It doesn't work for me, you know what I'm saying, because I don't have the budget to do it. And I just soon go buy a good used maintainer that I had lease a brand new one, just because it does the same job. It may not be as pretty or, you know, or anything like that, but it'll do the job. Only thing I'm asking for is you know, I get folks, you know, they call a lot, you know, what are you gonna do about my road? Well, I don't know. I can't tell you that right now, because to be totally honest with you, I don't have the money to fix it. You know, I would like to fix it and quit the patching business. You know, we patch these roads so much that, I mean, you can put a patch here and the next day go back and right beside it's a big old hole, because they're pushing against his patch and it's popping this road out. You know, and unless you can fix it, you're not doing a bit of good. You're wasting money, you know, so. And I feel, you know, when I took this little job, I told him, I said, you know, I'll do the best job I can do with what I have to do with. And that's about what we're doing. With you know, and it's a terrible job, to be honest with you, because I haven't fixed like I should, because I can't afford to fix them like I should. It's just that simple. And we're gonna have to bow up and try to get some money so we can get these roads fixed too. I do want to help everybody I can that we can afford to help. I really do. But until we get these roads fixed, you know, it's just gonna be something. I put in some numbers, just like equipment purchase. I asked for another whole line item for equipment purchase, which is $100,000. That's where we can get. when I started, I had 2 Boom X tractors. I've got one now, and we work on it about twice a week, trying to keep it going. Because, and believe it or not, if you're not mowing, these folks don't like you, because they like them ditches mowed and them roads cleaned up, and Boom X back, when you, I don't care if you got 5 potholes, if you come through there and mow it, they're tickled to death, because it just looks so much nicer, and their neighborhood looks good. But anyhow, I did put in $100,000 for an equipment purchase line. I moved my fuel up to 75, which was 60, which was 75 before, and it got moved down to 60. But I would like to have that back so we can, routine maintenance and equipment. Yeah, I just brought that up a while ago. The equipment I have is old. I've spent a lot of money this year on getting this equipment up and down the road, trying to, we've had my Boom Max down, my maintainer down, 2 trucks down, and you add them up and it gets pretty expensive pretty quick. And so I went from $29,000 to $75,000, because that's about what I spent on them this year. And if we're gonna continue to run them, that's what we're gonna spend on them next year. So, on the parts and shop, went from 20 to 25. If y'all don't mind, I'm just gonna go through every one of them to where you'll understand where we're at, where I'm at as commissioner, So, we stayed the same on the rental, because we got one machine that we're about to pay off. Same on that. All right, on the utility telephones, we went from $2,700 to $4,000. That's all the phones, all that stuff we got out there at this shop, and then plus the cell phone that they pay for us to use because we're on call. So, that's the same. All right, the big one here, guys, is going to be 2 of them, culverts. One of them's culverts. I had $3,000 in culverts this year. 18,000. We spent like 2015. We spent about $18,000 on them, and then year to date on 2019 we spent $18,496 year to date. So I put 20 on them, because I know for a fact I got that many more to replace this next year. So culverts are like a 10-year deal. They'll last about 10 years. But if you change them all out this year, 10 years from now you're gonna change them all out again. It's just that simple. And it's but also I went from hardtop roads for material alone. That's just trying to get these roads built back up. I went from $403,000, which we had an extra $200 last year to try to help us do some good stuff this year. Well, guess what? We spent it all on culverts and trying to get these storms off of us. So I went from $403,000 to $600,000 for next year. Try to get some roads fixed. So there's my budget proposal.
What's your total? Have you figured it out?
No, I haven't.
Do you have a total on his increase?
Expenditure, no, not on his increase. Total expenditures was $1,064,725.
Is that the total?
With the additions?
Yes, that is what you requested, is $1,064,725.
$1,064,725.
$725.
Okay. And what was allowed so far? Hold on just a second. I'll know. We're talking about 684, 725, 684, 024. Okay.
I'm sorry I was so long with that, but I just wanted to make you
That's all
understand
right.
where I was at.
That's all right. That's what we're here for.
Okay, wait a minute, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry about that. Greg is requesting 1,649,528.
1,649,528.
528, and the proposed was 1,064,725.
He's requesting,
Yeah, he's requesting 1,649,528.
okay. But what I'm looking at is road and bridge fund,
Well,
6.8.
that's just his tax revenue there.
Oh, okay,
That doesn't include all of his other revenue.
Ms. Janice,
okay.
is that is a
So how
different
far,
thing? I
so
said you've already wrote it.
right now, the
Well,
million,
that was based on that tax that was.
Oh, okay. Okay,
So
yeah.
that number's not correct.
oh,
Okay,
64.
all right, thank you.
So what you're looking at is about 600,000 roughly
Mhm.
out of budget, okay. I just want to make sure, Commissioner, that we're all on the same page.
I understand.
so,
Thank you.
know, you bet. Okay. Commissioner Kennedy,
Right. Coming in, I've been having to deal with some old equipment issues, and if you want to do some work, you got to have the equipment to work with. So I've bought a couple of pieces of equipment, and I paid for one outright, and I'm paying for the other one in installments, or making notes for that. That's, I guess I go down the line in what I'm requesting too, but when I got in there in January, one of the main pieces of equipment we used, the excavator, went down, and it was gonna cost so much to repair that I could borrow one from one of my fine buddies on the court, but we needed one for our barn. So we ended up having to get a great all, and we're having to get a mower because whenever we want to go use it, we have to fix it before we use it, and it's gonna cost so much just to repair that boom mower too. So, what I'm asking for on my budget,
so those have been purchased, haven't they?
yes, sir,
Yeah, those have
the
been
grade
purchased, so
all
that's in
is
this year.
purchased. Right.
Yeah, all we're looking for is what kind of changes we're looking at going into the next year for the
Well,
2020 budget.
Still talking about the old equipment, that, one of them is a safety issue, and we're trying not to use that because we don't want any problems, in the community while we're using it. So, my gas and oil, I asked for 36,000 on that. The, R&M equipment, I asked for 15,000 up from 12,000. The, parts and shop was unchanged, and the equipment rental, I asked for 47,000, but I have to give Janice, because we're gonna have a note due on one of those pieces of equipment. I'm not sure if that's where that's gonna come out of, but I, put 47,000 down for that.
Has there not been a line item for equipment rental before? Because you had $2,000,
For 29, for this year.
right, and that jumped from 2,000 up to 47,000.
Right, there's no rental equipment out there.
Okay.
Oh, you good?
Right now,
That's where you put it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The insurance, I got, $99.50 on that for the auto. The, property insurance, $325 from $175. Mobile equipment, $930 up from $850. Utilities, $1,100 unchanged. Electric unchanged at $1,000. Other utilities, $1,000 unchanged, and then coverage is up to $1,200 from $1,000. And hardtop roads is $160,000. I also increased, or added a item for the training personnel to $300. And equipment purchase, I put $150,000 on that because we're gonna have to have some equipment next year.
You hadn't had a training personnel line item
No.
in yours? Okay. And that's been added, or it hadn't been added
No,
yet?
it hadn't been added. I proposed it on the budget.
Proposed it, okay. And, equipment purchase of an additional 150,000,
Yes.
what is that necessarily for?
We're
That you're
gonna
looking
do
at
dump
next
truck.
year? Dump truck?
Yes.
Okay. That's one you've been looking for.
Well, we were looking at a patch truck, and we were gonna pay for that. We haven't been able to find one. The one we had, they sold it before we could work something else.
Okay.
And this is for, 8-yard dump truck, 8 to 10-yard dump.
So what is your total now?
He's out of balance, 381,000.
381,000 out of balance. Okay. All right. Okay. Commissioner Pitts?
My turn?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I won't take a lot of time reiterating what Commissioner Precinct 1, Greg Harrison stated, but we all dealing with the same thing on our roads, along with increased traffic on them. But my biggest concern, of course, is hardtop road material, but I'll start at the top as well. I also requested $100,000 for equipment purchase. I have a fleet of 30 pieces of equipment, and there's 0 in my budget to replace any of it. And by the way, $100,000 won't replace any of it. So I think that's pretty conservative to try to get started to where you can build it up over a couple of years to start purchasing. 30 pieces of equipment, if I replaced one every year, I'd still be running a piece of equipment that was 30 years old. And I am running equipment that's 30 years old right now. 15 of my pieces of equipment's over 20 years old. Believe it or not, it wears out. Then the next one, I won't go down each one. The ones that I changed or asked for change is in my gas and oil. I asked for 70,000. To date, as of today, I've spent $37,398.38. We're about halfway through the year. I'm on line to use 74,796 this year. I think that's a pretty modest request considering fuel could easily go up. And I'm asking for 70. Parts and R&M, repair and maintenance on equipment, I'm asking for 75. And just to reiterate on what Greg said, the numbers don't reflect the problem. Whenever you got downtime, like with your mowing tractors, I've got one that's been down 6 weeks right now. The money is bad, but it don't reflect your downtime, and that's what kills you on old equipment being down. And we've really had a rash of it this year in Precinct 3. So I've asked for 75,000 in repair and maintenance, 20,000 in parts and shop. And then nothing else changed down to utility telephone. I had 3750, I asked for 4,000 because our administrative assistant's already said I'm gonna run short on that this year. Rest is the same, I think. Till bridge repairs, I still have 4 wooden bridges. My department's road and bridge, there's always been 0 in the bridge for some reason. So I asked for 20,000 in the bridge repair. And then my next one, the only other one is the materials. I asked for 700,000 in Hardtop Road this year. Had 620 last year. I have the biggest precinct, 261 miles of road to try to take care of.
You got the most roads, you don't have the biggest precinct.
I stand corrected. I got more miles of road.
Okay.
And I hadn't figured that out to see what it was.
Am I correct that roughly 417,000 out of budget?
Yes.
Correct.
You did that quick.
Yeah. Hey, it's not the new math, it's old math. All right. Commissioner Cheshire?
Yes, sir. All right. To recap what Commissioner Harris said, you know, we deal with these, all 4 of us deal with these same problems. One thing I do want to add, this is my 5th budget, Commissioner Harris's 5th budget, and every year, when there's an influx of revenue, it's road and bridge is the one that takes the hit. If there's a slight increase, you know, we might split it amongst the four of us. If there's a decrease, we have to split it amongst the four of us. Basically, what I'm saying is road and bridge feeds off the bottom of the barrel. We get what's left over. And every person that's presented themselves here today has financial issues that we all face. So I just wanted to add that to what Commissioner Harrison said. Get to my line item, the compensation benefits, we'll work on that later. There's gonna be some changes with that. We'll start at personnel training. We've increased that from $3,250 to $6,000. Gas and oil, we've increased that from $65,000 to $85,000. To purchase some additional equipment, it's gonna cost some more money. In 2017, we used a little over $70,000. 2018, we used $67,000. In 2019, the budget did $65,000. I feel like we're gonna be short before the end of the year is over with. But right now, with us repairing roads, we're consuming astronomical amounts of fuel. Road and bridge equipment, I've increased that from $60,000 to $70,000. In 2018, we used $71,000. 2017, we used $80,000. So I'm trying to hold that back to $70,000 this next year. And the parts and shops. A lot of this equipment is, again, like everybody said, it's old, it has to be worked on. We've got a few things that we are working on to increase productivity and repair some of the old equipment that we have in the place. So I actually doubled the parts and shops from 20,000 to 40,000. Excuse me. The next line, lease equipment, it's an interesting line. I want everybody to understand, you know, when I came into office, I inherited a bunch of problems that belong to me now. And what I did is started a lease purchase equipment. It's helped us out tremendously. We don't have the amount of breakdowns and downtime that Commissioner Pitts was talking about. It's helped us out a lot. We lease these vehicles, these equipments, not vehicles, this equipment with full warranties. So if there's a problem, it's covered under warranty. New equipment. Not too many people are familiar with the Tier 4 machinery. Tier 4 machinery is an average maintenance bill is about $10,000 on these new pieces of machinery that we're leasing and purchasing. You know, we purchase a premium warranty package with them. Most of the time it's less than that. It's around $7,000. And it saves us money in the long run. I would like to add to that, on that number, $44,976 of it is going to be paid off with our next, or it's already been paid off, I apologize. That was a backhoe that we had lease purchased, and the note came due, and we paid it off out of fund balance with the money that we transferred last Commissioners Court. The next items down, I don't have any rental equipment. I don't rent equipment. I borrow it from the other three guys as much as I can, or we do without. And I would like to say something that a lot of people don't really know or understand is that Commissioner Pitts, Commissioner Harris, Commissioner Kennedy, we all borrow equipment from each other from time to time for some reason or another.
I got one borrowed right now from him. That's the reason I done that.
I understand. And I'll give a prime example, and this is not anything we go around publicizing, but I do feel like the people really need to know about it. The other day when we moved our 2,000 yards of wrap, we did that in, what, a day and a half, where we set it up that we all pitched in together, and we hauled Commissioner Harris's first, Commissioner Kennedy's first, mine second, and then the next half day, they finished up with Commissioner Pitts. I mean, so we work together all the time to help each other out, and you know, it's an efficient process, and
You want to explain to the public what RAP is?
RAP, reclaimed asphalt, I'm sorry. Some people call it rip wrap, some RAP, reclaimed asphalt. It's grind shavings off the road.
Came from the department.
From the state gives it to us in an allotment. I've got some complaints about the yardage that they give us, but that's nothing that we can settle here today. Anyway, moving along, property insurance, no changes. Mobility insurance, I think we're going up on some insurance. I moved it from $2,400 to $2,500. Telephone and utilities stayed the same at $3,500. Electricity utilities is stayed the same at $4,000. Water and sewer, that stayed the same at $800. I don't have any bridges. I do have a bridge, but I don't anticipate any repairs. It's a railroad car that's actually welded together. It's a steel flat car. I feel like that it'll be there for a significant amount of time. If it does fail, the residents have ways out of opposite directions, so they wouldn't be blocked in, and we can make the necessary budget requests in the following following year, or put that steel bridge back in place with a little bit of maintenance. Culverts, this last year, we didn't do a lot of culverts. We had $5,000 worth. 2018, we did $1,000, or $1,141. 2017, we budgeted $13,227. 2016, we budgeted $64,070. If you notice, that's a significant difference between 2016 and 2019. Just as Mr. Harris had pointed out, the situation that he had rolled around with, having culvert issues, we had culvert issues in 2016. We replaced a lot of them. We've got some that are due to be replaced this coming year, and you know, we may go over this $5,000 budget in 2019, but it won't be by much that I anticipate. But in 2019, I do anticipate that we will have a significant amount more, close to $30,000 there. The hard top roads, this is always the big line item. This is the issue that is most pressing to the people of Angelina County. You ask them, you know, what they want done, they want their roads fixed, you know, out of anything that they request. And it's a simple problem that we all face, is there just has never been enough funds in hard-top roads to do everything that needs to be done. I have 234 miles of road, which is less road mileage than Mr. Pitts, but I can cover half of Angelina County. And I have 2 precinct barns, they're 30 miles apart. It's, you know, I actually have 3 JPs and 3 constables in my precinct. You know, so that covers a significant area as well. What I made a request on this year is $550,000. Last year, we budgeted $471,000, and that's with the $200,000 stipend that we pulled off of general fund. In capital outlay, I've requested $50,000, and that's for radio and repeater equipment that's supposed to be coming online sometime in the next few weeks, I hope. And then what it totaled up, my total budget would be $1,741,888. And I did not calculate the difference.
$457,255.
Okay.
457.
Say again?
$457,255.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, Commissioner, I got a couple of questions. Number one, on culverts, Commissioner Precinct One's had, I think he's replaced every culvert in his
No, sir, I
area.
got 6 in the yard to replace.
And he's only asked for 20,000, and you're asking for 30,000. I'm just curious.
I have more roads than he does. I got
You got
200.
more culverts, you think?
Do I have more culverts? Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. It's just-
Substantially more.
Okay, okay. And also, on the fuel, and I understand that you got
Yes.
2 barns, but there was quite a bit of change in fuel, but
Yes, sir.
Personnel training, you're asking for 6,000?
Yes, sir.
And the other commissioners are 100, 300, and 300. That's a big difference. I just have to explain.
I'm not sure what the, hang on a second. Part of that covers,
What item is that? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm talking about
Personnel training.
training
Oh, okay,
personnel.
okay.
Training personnel. Yours was, I
Yeah.
think, 100, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
this last year, we had a guy from TEEX, I can't remember the exact acronym, come in and do some motor grader training. We have some safety training that we done the year before that. I can't remember the particular company. You know, the training of a personnel, in my opinion, is essential. Part of this, 6,000, last year was, $3,250. You know, fortunate for us, we've had 1, injury in the past 4 years. You know, I don't want to go into too many details, but the individual was able to recover from his injury through therapy. But you know, helping us and teaching us and training us how to do our job better is essential. Also, part of this cost covers the advanced leadership curriculum through BGO.
That's your training?
Yes, sir.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Can we use that for just training personnel in the department? I thought the commissioners were on a separate.
Well, they have training in the general fund under their department, but unless you want to pay for his advanced training, include it there, then he's just including it in his budget.
Okay, Okay,
The-
that's what I'm wondering about is,
Commissioners is all the conferences and things that they go to in Department One, the Commissioners Department. This is where he's including his advanced leadership class in his budget.
this is over and above, this is some of that increased leadership training for yourself
Yes,
in the advanced courses.
yes,
Ah, okay, well, I was just wondering why it was
Yeah.
so different from the
yep,
others.
that's it.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, here we are. You done?
Yes, that's it.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, precinct 1, 600,000 out of budget. Precinct 2, 381 out of budget. Precinct 3, 417 out of budget. Precinct 4, 457 out of budget. Guys, what do y'all propose? I'm open for suggestions.
We're just gonna have to look at the numbers.
Well, y'all are
I know we
very,
got record revenue this year
we do,
that's coming in.
we do.
And
And we've still got more requests that are in front of you that we will have to meet again to address these other requests,
Right,
so.
yeah,
right.
And
I-
plus talk about y'all's, but this is not to put the pressure on you today, but just be thinking about what you wanna do to overcome these deficiencies. And, we'll go from there.
I'd like to say something else too.
Sure.
All the department heads and elected officials has made their pleas. Now I'm gonna make one for every employee of the county. We hadn't talked about raises.
Right.
And I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm proposing a $2,080 a year across the board raise for everybody.
Okay.
And I'll explain that a little bit, and I've talked this up, and I have met a little bit of opposition, but the percentage raises, if you do a 5% percentage raise, the guy at the top just keeps getting further and further and further away,
If they're included.
if they're included.
Right.
And to me, they do have the degrees maybe and all, but I guess ever since the county's been here, they've got those raises and went further and further away. My point is, if you're gonna call this a cost of living raise, the guy on the bottom pays the same for gas and groceries as the guy at the top. So at least this year, I say give a straight across the board, even amount to everybody. And that's just my opinion. I'm definitely open to whatever the court thinks on it. And that's a good starting point. And if you hadn't figured that out, that's $1 an hour raise.
Okay, well, I still say the same thing, we're gonna have to get back together, we will set another date, but, same question, we're talking about roughly close to $2 million out of budget right now, just on road and bridge account, and y'all need to be thinking seriously about how we're gonna overcome that, plus give the additional requests that came in today,
Right.
okay?
Sounds good.
Can I add something to what Commissioner
Certainly.
Pitt said?
Certainly.
Uh,
Add the additional, if you're talking about a raise,
Well, I just want to point out a statistic, and I may be off on my numbers just a little bit, but if I remember correctly, I'm going to have to go back and check and just kind of jog my memory a little bit. In 2010, when the census was done, average household income in Angelina County was $38,000. And not everybody in Angelina County makes $38,000 per household. That's with from what I believe is two income working. Today, currently, household income, I believe, is $44,000. That's not a lot of money. You know,
Those-
and if,
those are
And
at
if-
least 2 years old, I think, those.
they may be, those numbers may be 2 years
Yeah,
old.
they're at
Judge.
least 2 years
I
old.
can't remember, but, I mean, we're way behind, of what, income levels for households are, you know, as far as our pay scale and things like that goes, around. And I don't know what the solution is at the moment. I do believe we need to address it. And, you know, Mr. Pitts' idea, Commissioner Pitts' idea is a start. But if you look at what the average income of an Angelina County employee is, we're well below that, you know, and I think, you know, yeah, I need funding in road and bridge, okay? But, if I got a family who lives on one of my roads that can't feed themselves, you know, and can't keep their lights on, you know, 12 months out of the year, and can't keep running water 12 months out of the year, we're doing them an injustice. So, just food for thought.
I understand. Well, I still say the same thing. We've got to figure out where this money's gonna come from, and regardless, talking about raises, regardless of whether or not we do a percentage raise or a across-the-board raise, I really don't believe that ought to include the people at the top.
Sir, can I say something?
You certainly can.
All right, just at what you just said. These people at the top are still employees of Angelina County.
That's true.
So, I mean, and we're here to take care of every employee of Angelina County. So,
Right.
and that's just how I feel about it. So, I'll leave it at that.
I understand.
I still gotta eat, and I still gotta keep my lights on, and I got 4 kids that are coming along, so I'm not gonna agree with your
Just
opinion on
personal
that.
opinion.
Yeah, I
Personal
understand, and
opinion.
but that's where I'm at on it too, though.
All right.
And I'm not in the agreement that some people at the top, are significantly underpaid, you know, and
So you're including elected officials, everybody across the board, basically?
Employees, Angelina County employees. Is my-
All employees?
That's my thought.
Okay. All right.
How long has it been since the
Yeah,
county?
it's been 3 years.
It's been 3 years since we had a 3%. I think, wasn't it 3% 3 years ago?
Sounds-
And your
I think that's
predecessor
right.
made it a priority last budget that in his departure, that he felt like he owed it to the county to give a 3%. That was one thing that he stressed when he was leaving office that he wanted to try to do. There wasn't enough support on the court for it, but I mean, it does need to be made known that he did try to bring, because it'd been 2 years since anybody had a raise. Now it's 3. You know, we don't do it this year, we're going on 4 years. Last time it's been 4 years since an employee's had a raise was 2009, 10, 11, and 12.
Well, I agree, though, it's time for the employees to
I do.
get a raise, because I've been through those
I think,
times.
All we gotta do is figure out where the money's coming from.
That's what we got.
I think that needs to be the first priority of this court.
Well, guys, it's simple math. You know,
Right.
right now, you're talking about, basically, you're talking about a tax
Let me just say,
increase.
we've talked about everybody else.
I mean,
We haven't talked about this one.
let's face it, let's talk turkey here. You're talking about a tax increase to cover these expenditures. Now, we don't have to address it today, but bottom line is, that's what you're talking about. So that's what needs to be addressed.
And don't rule out going back over this.
Sure.
You know, we may have to go back and cut some of this other.
I understand. I'm not ruling out anything. The budget that I put out, I know y'all weren't real happy with it, but it was a proposed budget. It's a starting point.
Right.
And it needs to be treated that way. It's not it was a budget to give us a template to go forward. And I'm sorry I upset y'all, and I know I did, but it was a template. It's a start.
Well, to be honest
Now-
with you, everything that I saw on that, that tickles me.
It-
I'll make a statement right.
It was fair.
The sheriff needs everything we're trying to give him. Straight up, he needs it, you know what I'm saying? Actually, he needs more than that, but that's what we got. But, these guys right here need more.
Yeah, I don't think we've
You
had
know,
any.
this lady right
unreasonable
here needs
requests
more.
At all. I don't.
So, I don't think nothing's out of line this year, so.
There's just a lot of needs, and we gotta
Right.
figure out how.
Well, the auditor and I worked together for just about over 3 months to put that thing together, and I thought that it was really, she did an outstanding job. put together what she did. We worked hard a lot of days to get that thing put together, and it was, we were able to put it together without a tax increase, and it worked out real well. But going forward, just so everybody will know, we gotta come up with this money somewhere, okay? Is there anything else?
I think it's
Guys?
all enough,
All right,
When we
A
gonna try
motion?
to set, well, when we gonna try to set the next meeting?
let's see, we've got a commissioner's court
Week after.
week after next. You want to try to get together this next week and go ahead and see what we can knock out? Let's say,
No need to
of course, I
postpone.
like to meet on Fridays, and I know y'all don't, but, Thursday, you name it,
Judge,
call it.
can I break in for a second?
Sure.
One thing we had, we see, we talked about everybody, but yours, right here, where you turn it in, what is the difference there? What's that gonna, what is it for? Is that the extra tax?
No. You're talking about, I'm not seeing what you're seeing. The increase in mine?
12,064, yeah.
Oh. Last year, this year, it doesn't change, I hadn't said anything to y'all about it because it does not change the budget look. It's not something that the county is paying. That is a stipend that comes from the state if I take on additional judicial roles, which I am doing this next year. That's why I'm doing the extra training. I'm getting 30 additional hours of training that's over and above everybody else, so I can take on some increased cost to take some of the pressure off court at law 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And that's what that is,
Okay, sounds good.
okay?
I mean, we,
That difference is the taxes on the state supplement.
Okay.
Because they just pay the state
Hey, I
supplement.
mean,
we
That is-
pick up the
everybody
taxes.
answered questions, and, you
That's
know.
what it is,
All
but
right,
that
sounds
is
good.
exactly what it is.
Our next scheduled, Commissioners Court's the 13th. Y'all wanna do something sooner than that?
Yeah, if we're talking about, if we're gonna do it, if we got,
Let's
next,
get it done.
then let's talk about next Thursday, get back together this
Sounds
next
good.
Thursday.
That's good to me.
Same time, 1:30,
Be
next
fine.
Thursday,
I'm
what is
good
that
with
date? Guys, anybody that's got a calendar?
Calendar?
I'm looking at, that's the 8th.
The 8th.
The 8th,
Yeah.
that'll work. Oh, and one other thing I was gonna mention too, that all 3 of the pieces of property, I know, Terry's got one piece in his property, they're all sold. And we're going to be, we're addressing that, Councilor Kirby and I are addressing that, and we will be probably approving all those, this, next Commissioner's Court.
Okay.
But all 3 of the piece of property, both of them are yours.
Those two over where I'm at?
Both of them are yours, and both of them, the ones for 5,000 sold at 10.
Yeah.
The one that we had priced at 10 sold at 15, and the one that we had priced at 15 sold at 20.
Yeah.
So they all went
Yeah,
up
Nathan
because
said they
of the
did good.
bids.
We got any more land for sale?
No, well, not really, but those 3 pieces of the property that's been abandoned for so long are going back on the tax roll.
Amen.
We need it.
Good thing,
We
good
do have
thing.
some more.
All right,
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor? Aye. Thank y'all very much for your participation. Guys, thanks for your input very much.